When you think of the stars the New York Knicks are targeting, you think of Donovan Mitchell, you think of Karl Anthony Towns, and obviously, you think of the prize for the Knicks, Joel Embiid. But should we be thinking about another star? According to one NBA insider, maybe we should. He believes that Bulls All-Star Zach LaVine is the perfect fit for the New York Knicks. We're going to break down that report, see exactly what the trade proposal is that he's wanting the Knicks to give the Bulls in order to get Zach LaVine, and also why he believes this trade makes sense for both parties. We're going to break down all of this and so much more today. So be sure you subscribe to the channel and also turn notifications on so you never miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. A Bleacher Report NBA insider thinks that Zach LaVine fits best with the New York Knicks. If we were talking about June of this past offseason, I would say a lot of NBA fans would have agreed with this Bleacher Report NBA insider. Because here's the thing, during that time, the reports were hot that Zach LaVine potentially could be traded to the Knicks. But then, a couple of weeks after those reports were heating up, a report from his camp came out basically suggesting that he did not want to play for the New York Knicks. And after that point, we never really heard anything else about LaVine to the Knicks rumors anymore. It's like that one report basically killed the entire dream. But now, Bleacher Report is seemingly cooking this up again and says that if the Bulls were to trade Zach LaVine, his perfect fit would be with the New York Knicks. Let's check out the trade package from NBA insider with Bleacher Report, Tyler Conway, on what he would think the Knicks should give up to get Zach LaVine on their team. They want the Knicks to receive Zach LaVine, and in exchange, the Bulls would receive R.J. Barrett, Evan Fournier, and 2 future first-round picks, one of them being unprotected. So that's the trade that this NBA insider for Bleacher Report wants the Knicks to pull off in order to get Zach LaVine on this team. And if that's on the table, I'm out. It's a no for me. Now, you're going to probably say, at least some of you might say, that I'm crazy because did you not see the last game, Troy? He dropped 50-something points. I saw. He did. They lost. I know he's a great scorer. He's probably one of the better scorers at his position. He can get buckets. And if I look at this Knicks team right now and their offensive futility, yeah, I can understand why a lot of fans would love Zach LaVine on this team and would love to see what he could do on this Knicks team. Because arguably, he might create a really good tandem with Jalen Brunson. And if Julius Randle is still on this team, they might form that new Knicks Big Three. The problem is, you're including R.J. Barrett in this deal. And I would not want to include R.J. Barrett in this deal. If anything, I would love to see R.J. and LaVine play together because I think that could actually happen. But if you're trading R.J. Barrett away, I don't think I can get behind that, especially from what I'm seeing this year. I know it's only been a few games, guys, but R.J. Barrett has arguably looked like the best player on the Knicks when he's been on the floor, and I can't ignore that. I can't ignore the consistency I've seen from RJ during the regular season over these last few games that he's played. I think he's ascending. I think he's ready to break out. And I just cannot let a player like that go, especially when I would want to pair him up with Zach LaVine. So if this is the trade on the table, I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. As much as I would love to get off of Evan Fournier's deal, and the 2 first-round picks, one of them being unprotected, the other one likely being protected. Hopefully not a Knicks pick, maybe another pick from another team that we have that's protected. If we could flip that, the deal might be a little bit better. But even still in that case, I wouldn't do it. If we could add another player in there, maybe Isaiah Hartenstein, maybe Emmanuel Quickley, I might do the deal in that regard. But if we're including R.J. Barrett, there's no way I'm going to do that. It doesn't make any sense for the Knicks to trade an ascending player in R.J. Barrett for somebody in Zach LaVine, who's still very good. He's still a very good player. But how many years left is he going to be a very good player before he turns into a very, good player? And then an okay player. And then maybe he should come off the bench type of player. Because when we're trading for players, we have to take into account where they are in their careers, what they've done already, their injury history, and all of that good stuff. And if you take that into account in regards to a guy like Zach LaVine, I think it tells you that he has maybe a few good years left before he's good at best. And if you're going to take a shot at that right now, then you need to make the move right now. But it cannot be for a player like RJ Barrett who is ascending. If this is the deal on the table, I'm not doing it. But let's see why he believes, this NBA insider anyways, that Zach LaVine would fit perfectly with the New York Knicks. According to Conway from Bleacher Report, he believes that LaVine could combine with Jalen Brunson to give the Knicks one of the NBA's premier scoring backcourts and allow them to finally move on from the shackles of potential in RJ Barrett. The Duke product is who he is. He's a decent but sometimes inefficient scorer and decent perimeter defender whose performance would be met with a collective shrug if he played anywhere other than New York. Barrett is neither a bad nor particularly good player. He's slightly above average starting NBA shooting guard, and the Knicks should take advantage of his perceived potential while teams still think it exists. Yikes. That is an absolute shot to RJ Barrett. So according to Conway, he believes that the reason that the Knicks would do this particular deal is because RJ Barrett is never going to be anything more than he is right now. He's never going to get better. And because of that, it would help the Knicks to trade for somebody like Zach LaVine, who's already very good and could still give you very good play for the Knicks for the next few years, along with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. If you tie all those three guys together, maybe they can do something special in the East. Contender? I don't know. I don't know if they're a contender per se, but very, very good team? Yeah. But here's the thing. Would they be just as good if they kept RJ Barrett? I can't really answer that question. They're probably better because LaVine is a better scorer, easier scorer, of course. But RJ is ascending. At some point, he might either be elite in terms of scoring on his own right. And if that's the case and you traded for LaVine, who's essentially getting you buckets but not doing much else, and then you got somebody like RJ who can still learn, still grow, still very good on defense, very good this year on defense, and then who can get to that level where potentially he could give you LaVine numbers in scoring. Maybe not exactly the same explosiveness as LaVine in terms of dropping 50 or 51, but maybe he could give you 25, 27 a night. I think RJ actually has that in his bag, or he will get that in his bag as he continues to ascend and gets better as a player. I don't believe RJ has hit his ceiling as a player. And this particular NBA insider believes that RJ Barrett's not really going to develop any more than he has. And if that's the case, you haven't been watching RJ Barrett in these last few games because he looks like a different, more confident, more efficient player. And I can appreciate that. And I think he's only going to get better as this season progresses. And if he looks even better than he did last year in the playoffs, if the Knicks are lucky enough to get there again this year, which I think they will, it'll do wonders for his value and so much for the Knicks because they'll have somebody that they can say, you see what RJ Barrett is doing? Don't you want to come play with him too? He could be another piece the Knicks could use to attract that another top tier talent to come to the Knicks and hopefully at that point help the Knicks push over that hump and become that lethal threat in the East that I know we all really want them to be. However, if we're looking at the odds, the Knicks actually have the third best odds for Zach LaVine. So I know what your question is. Who else has better odds than the Knicks? Good question. Glad I can help answer that. There you go. That's the answer. The Heat. As you can clearly see here, shout out to NBA Central on the app X. The Miami Heat are the favorites to land Zach LaVine if Chicago deals him before the trade deadline. They're at plus 260. The Nets right after them at plus 300. And yes, the Knickerbockers at plus 400 right after that to acquire Zach LaVine. But those Miami Heat, you see the jersey over there? The Miami Heat are actually off to a slow start to the season. I actually believe they're one of the worst teams in the East right now as we're recording this video. So that's something to note. They might want to upgrade their talent on the roster, make some trades, and get Zach LaVine. But another name to watch there is another New York team in the Brooklyn Nets. Because maybe LaVine wants the New York experience, but doesn't want the pressure of MSG and the Knicks. And if that's the case, He might go to the Barclays Center and play with the Brooklyn Nets. It is possible, depending on what the Nets are willing to give up in that type of deal. But I can definitely see him potentially coming to New York with the Brooklyn Nets, as much as I do not want to say that. But he's not going to be a Knick, in my opinion. We remember the reports. Clutch Sports did not want him coming to the Knicks because they did not like the way the Knicks treated players that were non-CAA, and they also did not like the way the Knicks favored CAA players. They didn't appreciate that. So because of that, and obviously the sour grapes between Leon Rose and Rich Paul, it was just never going to work out, and that's why the rumors really stopped. And even though this NBA insider really truly wants to see Zach LaVine on the Knicks and thinks he's a perfect fit, and maybe to an extent I would love to see Jalen and Zach LaVine and what they could potentially do, I don't think he's a perfect fit for the Knicks, and I think if the Knicks did this trade, it would absolutely blow up in their face. I don't think it's a great trade at all, and I don't think that including R.J. Barrett in any deal at this point moving forward makes sense, because this kid is ascending. He's looking better than he has ever looked in his entire career, and I think he's only going to get better as this season progresses. I think a lot of NBA fans and a lot of Knicks fans are seeing the same thing too, and I think they would share my belief in this. But maybe you don't. Let me know in the comments, guys. Would you want the Knicks to trade for Zach LaVine if they had the shot to get him? Again, in terms of odds, they have the third best odds to land Zach LaVine at plus 400. Do you want to see Zach LaVine on the Knicks? Do you think he helps the Knicks become a contender in the East? Or do you agree with me? Do you not want to see the Knicks trade for Zach LaVine, especially if this is the trade on the table? Let me know in the comments, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. That's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.